Serious, what is the most cruel thing a family member has said to you? Who? I had multiple surgeries as an infant which resulted in a lot of scars. Growing up, my mother told me no one will ever want me or love me because my body is ugly. Thank you to everyone for the kind comments and the awards. My dad told me he didn't need me anymore when I was 14 because now he had a son, my half brother. I was the person who paid for his cremation last January. He was 97. So, as a child, 13, I was diagnosed with kidney cancer. The news obviously hit me pretty hard because as a kid that had lost family to cancer, so I knew how serious it was. Obviously it hit me pretty hard and threw me into horrid depression. The mother of my stepfather laughed at me when the news got to her because you're too young to have problems, so just get over it. When I was around 9 or 10 years old, I had gotten up the courage to tell my grandma that I was molested when I was 8. She said that I was just making it up for attention and to be quiet. I cried for the rest of the car ride home, and to this day, 22 years old, I still sometimes cry about it if I think about it for too long. I'm a pale woman with dark body hair. My mother saw that I hadn't shaved my legs in a while and said you need to shave that hair off. What happens if you're 8 walking out at night and that's what the guy sees? Or if you get attacked and they rush you to emergency and the doctors have to see that hair? I think the most hurtful thing is when my mother has told me that she hates me and that she should have aborted me. Toxic childhood. My mother had no parenting skills. When I was 15, she assaulted me pretty terribly for asking if she would buy groceries because I hadn't eaten in a few days. I moved out the next day and couch surfed for a long time. After putting myself through university and getting an advanced honors degree, she called me to tell me that I'm stuck up and think I'm better than my family. Edit. Thank you for your kind words. I'm doing well. Have a lovely wife who loves me. A good job even through the pandemic. And I haven't spoken to my family in a long time, which is for the best. Still struggling through that for sure. Guilt, anger, etc. Closed bracket comma, but doing alright with it. My mum said she was going to kill herself and it would be my fault. About an hour later her boyfriend called and said mum had taken some pills and was passed out and he couldn't wake her up. Another time she called me a slut, and the last thing she ever said to me was that I was no longer her daughter. She died 10 days later. Edit. Thanks everyone for your comments and the awards. I don't comment much on Reddit, more of a lurker, so I have no idea what the awards do, but I appreciate it nonetheless. My mom wouldn't ever let me go to parties with her and my dad when I was a kid. She brings my sister and little brother though because they have light skin. We are from Asia. One day I dressed up and got ready because everyone else did. And then she asked me why are you getting ready? And I asked why aren't we going to a party? She stared at me and told me no, you're too ugly in our language. I'm 21 now and our relationship has never been the same since. I aged well though thankfully, but it still stings whenever I remember it. My father, if you don't do this thing that I want, study this major, wear these clothes, WTV, I will disown you and make everyone hate you. After my grandmother passed, I didn't care if he made anyone else hate me, so I said okay. Didn't see my family for 7 years. That is so messed up. I hope you have a support system of friends who are really family. Nobody can make another person choose to hate you. If your dad has that much control over other family members, something is really toxic, and you don't need that. My sister was gone for a while in basic training. When she came back she was never home, always out catching up with friends, etc. I was always home because I didn't go anywhere that often. Well, one night she's home with some guys and some girls she knows, and I'm drawing in the room they're all in. Someone asks me why you draw, which led me to show them some of my sketches, only for my sister to say she's like a dog. She'll go away if you don't show her any attention. Now I have a hard time showing off anything, and I don't draw as much anymore. Edited a few hours later. Thanks guys. We are on better terms now. This was about 10 years ago, and I have forgiven her for this. I actually did start doodling again when I'm not busy with work. It is a comment that still creeps in my mind every now and then. Unfortunately. Thanks for the nice comments. My sister, who I do not speak to anymore, was complaining that her boyfriend was having a hard time finding a career. I tried to empathetically tell her that it's a difficult choice, that it often takes time, and that my husband was not sure he had found his yet. Her response was, well, at least my boyfriend finished college. Your husband flunked, so he has an excuse for being a loser. Excuse me? Did I mention that my husband was within earshot, along with my parents and all of my kids' siblings? The fact that he failed his senior thesis was a pretty big setback in his life years before. But my sister had no right to just go and say that. Not to mention I was trying to be helpful. It wasn't the only cruel or mean thing she ever said. She said things like this on a regular basis, but this time it wasn't just attacking me. It was attacking my husband on something very personal and difficult. I can't say I've really forgiven her for it. You're the reason your dad killed himself, my grandmother. When I, a married adult, told my father I was expecting a baby, he said, get an abortion. A kid will ruin your life, like you ruined mine. Broke my heart. My mother and grandmother told me not to get my hopes up. When I got accepted into university, I told them I wanted to be successful in my field, and they told me that I won't be. It's okay when a stranger tells you your aspirations in life are bad, but from family it feels like pure hatred. For context, my brother has a degree that he's not going to ever use, and they still treat him like the perfect child. I probably sound like an ass, but sometimes it truly feels like my family hates me for trying to enjoy life instead of settling for anything. Sorry, I just wanted to say my brother isn't an ass, and that I was just using him as an example for how I'm treated differently than my cousins and sibling. Probably when my dad dropped me off at the dorms for my first day at college. His words are burned into my soul. You're a curse and an abomination, and hell awaits you. My South Asian fellows will understand. All my half siblings have a fairer complexion compared to mine, so when I was about 9/10, one of my mom's distant cousins gave me a fairness kit on my birthday, so I would look like I was actually a part of my family. To this day I can't even fathom what her thought process was. I was a kid. Colonialism really fucked us up. My mom called me a W because I W leggings. My stepmom called me a BTCH because I refused to give in to her verbal abuse. I seem to be the master of being verbally assaulted by older, more insecure women. You're so skinny you look like an AIDS patient. My sister, in 1993 I was in my early 20s, and while I'm straight, my older sister constantly looked for ways to call that into question and put me down. And I was very skinny, not unhealthy, just really skinny and with a 20-year-old's metabolism. That was the moment I realized that I didn't need to keep her in my life just because she's my sister. Cutting her and her negativity out of my life was one of the best mental health decisions I ever made. When my son was 6, he is 28 now, he went to YMCA day camp in the summer. I'd drop him off at 7:30 am and pick him up at 5 pm after work. Out of the blue on the way to drop him off one morning, he just casually said the only thing better than day camp would be night camp, so I would never have to see you. When my mother told me at 15 she couldn't wait until I grew up and got fat. My dad, I don't care about your pain. No one does. Just get up and get on with it. For context, I have a chronic pain condition. Out of 10 my pain often flares up to 8/10. My brother told my mom that he would set a date for my cousin rape me. It was a complicated situation, and of all the things anyone said to me, and even knowing my family hating me, what he said was the worst. I wish he were a boy. Apostrophe. What am I supposed to say when people ask about you? Not the most directly cruel thing, I know, but the implication that my own mother couldn't think of a single good thing to say about me. Well, that's how my family was at the time. Always judging, perpetually disappointed, and never hesitant to say so. I was just out of high school, couldn't keep a job, severely depressed, too terrified of failure to even look at post-secondary education because school had been such a monumental struggle. It barely registered at the time. Wasn't till a decade later that the full weight of what she said hit me. I love my parents, and things got a lot better between us after I moved away, but I still can't bring myself to feel safe around them. I, 23F, got a notice in the mail saying that my insurance company was lowering my rates on car and rental policies. I told my mom, 53, and she said, "Rental? What do you even contribute to the house?" I'm 23 years old. I'm a medical biller and make a decent salary for someone who has 2 years experience, but not enough to move out yet. When my dad passed away at age 49 from cancer 5 years ago, I helped my mom a lot by helping her settle my dad's will, help her make financial decisions, cook, clean, signed us up for medical insurance, helped my older brother, 26, with his and her taxes. I also helped him apply for school financial aid. I took time off of work to take care of her after 2 major surgeries because my brother didn't feel comfortable. I would drive him to places too. We used to share a car, and I paid for over $100 a month for gas and he would only give me $20. I snapped at my mom because I know if I didn't step up my older brother wouldn't even do anything. I told her everything I did and still do for this family. I don't mind that they rely on me to help them, but I'm not going to set myself on fire to keep them warm anymore. My mom did apologize, and she didn't realize how much I did for her and my older brother. I accept the apology, but those words still sting my heart. When I was in middle school, I applied for a college training type program. They help you apply, gain knowledge etc. while you're still in school. On the way to the interview, my dad told me he was wasting his money, gas and time on something so ridiculous because I was too stupid, naive and immature to ever be accepted into this program, let alone graduate HS or make it to college. I spent that entire ride bawling my eyes out, aced that effing interview, and had my first 2 years of college paid for. F you, Dad. My brother told me I deserved my ex cheating on me cause I wouldn't buy his friend's beer. Pretty tame compared to some of these, and it didn't really hurt. But I was shocked he would stoop that low to try and hurt me. I don't seek him out anymore. My dad told me if I didn't change my attitude my future husband would beat me stupid. I tracked down my estranged mother a couple years ago after she had been gone from my life since I was 5. When she figured out who I was, her response was, "I don't have a daughter. I left for a reason." Then she hung up the phone and I just stood there in my living room trying not to cry.